What's going on, YouTube? Thanks for watching again. Welcome to our Valentine's Day episode of the Thoughts Not Facts morning show with Kevin.
And Jennnifer.
I'm TK's Garage 405.
And I am free and on the road.
Yeah, thanks for watching again here.
Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and do all of those things. Check us out on all of our other social medias. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. He also has another YouTube, so make sure you check us out. All those links are in the bottom. So check us out and follow us. We really appreciate it. It really has been helping us grow our channel.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Getting lots of interesting questions and lots of chatter. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, we're trying to grow and see what we can do with this thing. So I guess we'll try the beer first here. Going back to another Mountain Fork Brewery. It's from Hockatown, Oklahoma. I'm probably saying that wrong. Sorry, guys. I don't know how to say it. Timber Creek Amber Ale. We've had this brewing company before. I think we've actually tried this beer at their brewery one time. Yep, I believe.
That was the one we went to.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we've tried the same brand on this show a few times now. Really like it. If you guys are watching, make sure you guys help us out. Send us some beer. We'll keep drinking it for you.
This is my favorite one. Just a disclaimer: we have tried this one before.
I don't know if I did. I thought I tried yours, but I don't.
He might not have tried it, but this was my favorite, my absolute favorite one that they had there. I don't know if he would like it because it's an amber, and I'm more of an amber drinker than he is.
It's a little different.
Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
It definitely tastes like an amber ale.
I love amber ales. Amber ales are my favorite. They have they don't get that weird hoppy like back flavor. They just are smooth and easy to drink. And this is definitely one of my favorites. Yeah. I actually remember when we went to the brewery, I begged him to buy me some to take home, and he bought me a 6-pack on the way home. And I enjoyed all of them.
It kind of has almost like a woody kind of back flavor, like brown, almost like a hint of brown ale, I guess, or what you want to call it. But yeah, not bad.
It's probably more of my beer than his beer.
Yeah, I say this all the time. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean everybody else doesn't, because I wouldn't make it if people aren't drinking it. But because I don't like something, sometimes I say I don't like a beer. It doesn't mean I don't like the company. There's a lot of companies where I just can't drink a drop of their certain type of beer, and I'll drink their other stuff is a go-to beer or something, so but anyways, but yeah, not bad.
Yep. So that's Mountain Fork Brewery, Timber Creek Amber Ale.
Yeah,
so check it out. Made locally in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
right.
mpforkbrewery.com.
Not Arkansas.
Yeah, Oklahoma.
Yeah, I remember when we went to that brewery now.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Yeah, it's like an hour and a half from our place, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, so today we're going to talk about the top Valentine's destinations. So I'll kind of tell you, I did a quick Google to see what the main places the bulk of them in the US, a couple of Canadian spots we're going to talk about there that we've been to and haven't been to. The bulk of these we actually haven't been to, but it's places that we would like to go to. We've talked about it and we just haven't quite made it there yet. Kind of interesting, but so I guess the first place is actually one of the interesting places, and I never really thought about it until today. The top place that came up for people traveling for Valentine's Day was actually New Orleans. And so I said to her today, I said, well, what day is it or whatever? And I looked, and it says this year it's on February 13th. Well, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. So it's all around the same time. So
yeah. So some of the things that they sort of talk about, like all these places, they have sort of a bit of a background on why people go there. Obviously, New Orleans is pretty popular. Warm weather this time of year, pretty much warm all the time. They have a really good nightlife. Lots of places to eat. There's like boat tours. You can go out I don't know if there's things like I didn't super dig into it, but I mean, they're on the ocean, so there's probably a lot of water type things like that. So yeah, I think it's
I know there's a lot of entertainment. So like if you like entertainment, things like that, I'm sure there's outdoor activities, because I remember when we watched that 90 Day Fiance and that couple lived in New Orleans. They did a lot of outdoor activities like right within that area too. So I'm sure there's outdoor activities for the day, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
entertainment and things like that. So
I've been really close by there a bunch of times, but never right through there. Baton Rouge actually isn't too far from there either, and they got some neat things. But yeah, this was one of the places that came up, and I guess probably because that's when spring break is, and that's when Mardi Gras is, and Mardi Gras is huge, obviously,
yeah,
right? So,
we've
but
wanted to actually go for a long time. We've talked about it for a long time. We've wanted to go, and this is definitely like on our bucket list, I
yeah,
think, right? Of places we
yeah,
want to
definitely,
go.
yeah, yeah,
Um, we're going through a weird season now where our older kids are getting too old and we don't have babysitters anymore. So now we have to learn a little bit different ways to date.
yeah, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, both of our boys got jobs, so now we kind of figuring that out too. So, what else there? Florida Keys was another big one there. Another place I was actually trying to get my whole family to go with me last year or year before, 2 years ago.
Yeah, we'd
Um,
almost went. We were close.
yeah.
I don't remember what stopped us. Probably work.
No, it was I don't know, other people weren't committing or whatever. So we were trying to rent like a van and just take our whole family down there
Oh,
with
that's
as many
right.
people as we
Mm.
could go. We were just going to rent like a 15 passenger van and just drive everybody that wanted to come kind of thing. And things weren't panning out there. So, but that's still one of the places. I've been to Florida a few times now. She's been there when she was young, but Florida in general, I think, is a pretty neat place to go and visit and see. And I think Florida Keys, I
I
have a
have
friend
not been to
from
Florida Keys, so I mean, I think it would be
um,
really cool.
Jess, actually, right?
Oh yes, that's
She
right.
was telling us about they went down there.
And she loved it. She said there was so much to do. There was so many places that you could go out. There was like good food, good coffee, good like all the like things like going out things. It was really nice, and they stayed at an Airbnb, so they were close to the beach, and they were able to just walk down to the beach.
So if you're not familiar with that area, like I don't know tons about it, but I know there's like just miles and miles of bridges. I think they call it like the 7 Mile Bridge, if I remember right off the top of my head, and that it's just like 7 miles of just bridge across the ocean to get to actual Key West. Um, and you can rent things there like Polaris slingshots, for example, and go cruise around for the day or do things like that, right? There's snorkeling, there's hiking, there's beaches, there's whatever, right? So I mean, all sorts of. If you like to do other things, they do boat tours as well. And I know, I know somewhere in those areas you're on like whatever they call it, waters, international waters. So they have like casino boats that go out if you want, if you're into that type of stuff, and you can go for the day or whatever. And once they hit the water, it's international water, so you can do that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah,
pretty cool.
that's
I
cool.
think that would be pretty neat to go down there and check it out. Just haven't quite made it yet, so definitely be on the bucket list too. Just takes so much time. Actually, I think that's some of it too, right? Florida's so far.
Yeah.
Like even though we're way closer than we've ever been, to get down to like Key West and places like that, it's pretty far. And even like if you're from Canada or something like that, you want to fly down there, it's like a lot farther. So I think that's why it's not as popular probably.
I think
Like
it's pretty popular
it's
though.
popular, but it's probably not maybe internationally as popular. But yeah, what else were we talking about there?
Well, we talked about Vegas. We've actually gone to Vegas. I don't know if we've just gone with you and me, to be honest. After I lived there, I think we've always gone with our
Yeah,
kids,
no, I think you're right.
to be honest. But that's another. People think of Vegas as just the strip, and they think of Vegas as just that. But there's so many things in that area that you can do, like if as a cheap getaway, right? There's so many things
Or
that you can
free,
do.
or even free
Yeah,
getaway.
if you can get some MGM points, then yeah.
Yeah,
But there's a lot that you can do. There's like you said, like champagne breakfasts, and something romantic like that, or even just going through some of the hotels, like the gondolas, and just there's like a lot of romantic things you can do that are just kind of like the two of you and hanging out. They have
the Paris hotel.
Yeah, they have amazing steakhouses. Like if you want to go
Yeah,
out to like really good like date night fun, go try some exquisite food. They have really good date nights. They have shows. So I mean, it's not all about gambling. I think a lot of people think Vegas is just about gambling, but there's so much more to do. And then he knows, like from when he used to travel to Vegas. I lived there, so it's different. It holds a special place in my heart. I love hiking. There's like Red Rock that you can hike in, which
mm-hmm.
is like right up the mountain there. So if you can rent a car, there's so many other things that you can do that aren't on the strip. that Vegas is really good for that you can do all like within that area, right?
Yeah, one place people maybe not so much of a romantic type thing, but it's kind of a little getaway if you just want to date with your honey just to go for a little trip. Is you can drive out from Vegas and go to Prim, Nevada. There, it's on state line of California and Nevada. It's not very far, probably 25 minutes or something like that. Very quick, and they have a whole bunch of malls out there and some casinos. They used to have like this huge roller coaster out there running. I guess they finally shut it down not too long ago here. Place like that. And then there's
The Hoover.
Laughlin,
Oh,
yeah,
Laughlin. And the
Laughlin,
Hoover Dam is like another one. You can go
yeah.
out, you can do a tour. I've done the tour quite a few times. Have you ever been on the tour?
No,
It's actually really cool. They take you down inside the Hoover Dam and they show you like how it was all built on the inside of the dam. So
yeah,
they
they're
have
really
like
cool, yeah.
it's a really cool tour. And when you go in, the walls are like almost dripping or weeping because of the water on the outside, so you can like feel the moisture as it's coming through. It's really cool. So that's another fun thing to do. That's only like an
Yeah,
hour away from the strip.
Grand Canyon, I've never been to either. That's around that area. It just hasn't really super jumped out at me to go.
I think
Colorado
yeah.
River's around there too. There's lots of little Colorado River things to do around there. Lake Mead has a bunch of different things, and hiking and walking and finding bodies on the shore or
Yeah, I was
whatever.
gonna say Lake Mead isn't in the top my top romantic places, but you know, what do you have in here? Oh, you have balloon rides.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
One thing
one.
they used to have that it looks like they kind of got rid of after the big C here was they had a thing. It was called uh, dining in the air. I forget what it was called. Sky dining, I think it was called. And basically, they had this huge table set up with a whole bunch of people,
Mm-hmm.
probably like 40 people or something like that. It was basically like a picnic table kind of looking thing where you're just sitting across from each other and you're strapped in, and they lift you up on like a crane, and you're like sitting above the city and having your meal or whatever. I thought I wanted to do that for everyone. They finally had it. Like when we finally actually had the opportunity, they already had it shut down. So hopefully that comes back because that would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But yeah, there's just endless places. Like if anybody says they go to Vegas and they can't find something to do or they don't like it because they think it's all gambling, then they just don't know what they're talking about. Because there's something for everybody in Vegas, and you can walk around for
Sometimes you even find
days.
a wife there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But you can walk around for days there, and there's just endless things to see in every single hotel, and there's
Yeah.
just always something. Probably, I would imagine. I've never really thought about this. If you went there on Valentine's Day, they probably have it all decorated for that, or kind of themed for that, or
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it, right? So yeah, there's definitely cool things to do there. What else
Well, the
there?
other bucket list one for us was New York City. Like I know both of us have really wanted to do that. That's been something that we've really wanted to do, not even just on Valentine's, but just to do, right?
Yeah,
But it would
yeah.
be a good Valentine's trip or um, any time trip. I would like to go when it's not busy because I'm that kind of person. So I probably wouldn't want to go on Valentine's because it probably is busy. I'd
I think
probably be
it's
more
always
like,
busy. I don't think it's really any better than the next.
but I think that it would be really cool. There's a lot of things that, I mean, there's a lot of shows I want to see that he might not want to see, and there's a lot of things that he might want to do that I might not want to do. But we do that, like when we go places, we always make sure that maybe if there's something I really want to do, he'll do it with me, and then if there's something he really wants to do, I do it with him, and that's part of like when you go on trips like that to some place that is like really important to somebody is knowing what the other person wants to do so you can make each other happy, and then we do a lot of things together that we both enjoy doing, like I
Yeah.
mean, I love coffee, and he's so good about finding me good coffee shops wherever we go. Because I always say, coffee is my love language. And when we go on trips, like he always makes sure he finds me a good coffee shop, right?
Yeah, I just happened to be over there. Kind of, I think I was about 9 hours away from there, and then it was last year, probably around
Yeah,
this
it was
time, I
last
think
year. Mm-hmm.
actually. I just happened to be like about 9 hours away there, and then a friend of mine said he was doing like a running competition there right in New York City, and I was like, all right, I'll come. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I'll come over there. Why not? So I drove over there. Actually, I was pulling a trailer with had a like small toter home, I think at that time, and I drove all the way over there right into downtown New York pretty much with this truck and trailer or whatever, and parked, and I stayed at a hotel there, and yeah, I just took an Uber over. The one thing is it is kind of pricey like when you go across because you're crossing from
New
New
Jersey.
Jersey into New York and they charge you for going across. So I Ubered over, and like it's fairly expensive to kind of get around that way there, but you can take the subway, which is kind of that's probably the fastest way to get around. But I was only there for I think like a full day. They ran me around a whole bunch after his competition there and just kind of showed me the highlights of the city. So it gave me a little taste. It wouldn't be someplace I'd probably go back 10 times or something like that, but I think I'd go spend a good week there, really see the main things that people see when they go there. And I went to the Empire State Building. I did see the Statue of Liberty, but from a distance. Um, yeah, some of those kind of things. But Central Park would be cool to see. I didn't really see that last time. But there's just a lot of cool things and just little kind of like hole in the wall, probably restaurants and
Yeah.
people just going out and getting their coffee in the morning. I said to her when I got back there, I was like, probably be cool just to like live there for 3 months or something like that, and just like get an apartment and do like the daily routine or something like that, you know. So, but anyways, that would be a cool place to go. And again, you don't have to have a ton of money. Like we drive a lot of places. Like people always say, "Well, I can't afford to fly here. I can't afford to get a hotel or whatever." Man, drive somewhere and stay in your van, or like whatever. Stay at a campground in your van, or whatever. Like make it work. You figure out a way to do it, right? Borrow your parents' camper van or something like that, or whatever you got. If you can't, it's super cheap to drive places versus flying. Um, yeah, another one was interesting. I thought was Alaska. In Alaska, they say like the big things there, the Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis, right? Which is way more defined up there. We've seen tons of it in Canada, but it's like even more defined up there. We've been wanting to go to Alaska for a
Yeah,
long
we've
time.
been wanting to take the kids
Not
up
necessarily
there
in
too.
February,
Like,
probably.
I don't know. I think I'd rather go when it's warm.
Yeah.
Again, like I think this is. I mean, it would be kind of cool though to go there. Like if we just went for Valentine's Day to go like a hot springs or something like that, that would be really cool. If we just went, if we just had like a week or something. But I think when we go up there, I want to go for like a month, and I want it to be warmer so I can enjoy it. Because even when it's warmer, it's still cooler than it is down here, right?
Yeah. So the thing we were going to do in the summertime was the road to Alaska. You do like the Dawson Creek, BC, and then you go up to like Fairbanks, basically, or however far you want to go, or whatever. But kind of like the original Alcan Highway there. That was kind of some of it. But a lot of people take like the winter. It's like the cruise. Sorry,
Yeah,
they do like the Alaskan cruise or whatever in the wintertime, and you can see all the icebergs and all different things, animals and stuff like that. I think that would be cool
I think
too.
that'd be really cool.
Again, that's probably not as unaffordable of a trip or whatever, but that's something like if you're planning a trip anyways, these aren't necessarily super cheap things. Some you could do in a cheaper way, some not. We have not been there either. What else were we talking about?
Well, I know the Maldives has always been something we've both talked about. We both really wanted to do that. And
Yeah,
it's something that's like really high up there for us. I want to go and spend like 10 days there, though, not like 2 days. Like,
yeah.
I want to enjoy and just, be able to take it all in. It seems like it's such a beautiful place from everybody that we've seen that's gone there, or everybody who's gone there said the beaches are beautiful. And it's just,
There's all these like so it's a bunch of different islands and there's a whole bunch of these. It's probably crazy expensive, I'd imagine, but it's you can get like basically like a cabin almost on the water. Some of them are actually like they have like below water level like bedrooms and things like
yeah.
that. Some of them are right on the water where you're like literally on the water. Some of those suites there or whatever. I forget what they call them, but it's basically like a cabana kind of almost thing, but it's an actual hotel. Um, yeah, there's a whole bunch of things like that. That's just one of those things. Like she said, I mean, until you get there, you probably wouldn't really know tons about it. But same thing. There's a lot of snorkeling and beaches and just hanging out and probably cool like restaurants
Yeah.
and nightlife and things. And I think that's the main thing for all of these is like that's kind of where it's all geared towards, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes it's nice just to be like, even you think about the Maldives, like when we go places, like even when we went to Mexico, sometimes it's nice to have a really nice hotel room and a place where you can just hang out. Like we're always running as people and as a couple, sometimes we need to spend time to just relax, right?
yeah,
And that's one of the things that kind of draws me to a place like Maldives is that we wouldn't be like, maybe we'd go out partying every night because we're kind of like that, but we also would be able to have some downtime.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the one thing we've talked about more is that we kind of get older here. If you were to maybe go with friends or you wanted to go for as affordable as possible, doing the all inclusive, like I don't think you could do that to the Maldives, but somewhere like, Mexico, for example, that's a really affordable destination to do it that way because you can go there and eat all you want and drink all you want. If you take your kids with you, they can eat all they want and you don't have to worry about feeding them and that stress. And I think that's a really good way to do it actually. Like I think in the future we've talked about that if we're going to go with other friends, that would be actually like then you don't have to worry about like how much budget do I have this week for food or how much budget do I have for having some drinks or whatever because it's all
It's all paid
included
for, yeah.
other than tips, right? So yeah. What else there? I guess we were talking a little bit about Arkansas too there.
Yeah, so we just talked about some of the things that you can just do close to home. Like maybe you live in some of these places that we've talked about, like maybe not the Maldives, but some of the places
Yeah,
in the U.S.
some people do live in the
I mean,
Maldives.
maybe you live in some of these places like Florida Keys, and you're not taking advantage of all the things in your area, and just remembering like we live right on the Oklahoma Arkansas border, and we started we got a pamphlet that had all the top Arkansas waterfalls, and we've been going and trying to go to one every weekend, or like when we have a free weekend, and go and do a hike and just make that kind of part of like what we do to get away. um, we actually take our kids with us on that, but we do try to do stuff where it's just the two of us. I think it's super important to make sure you have time, right? Like that's kind
Yeah,
of what we talked about, is having time for each other. And that's like the number one thing that we always talk about, how important it is to make sure we go out on regular dates. Like it's hard. Like I understand, like if you have small kids, a lot of times it's hard, and it's hard as a mom. Like I know, like it's hard to go out and not think about your kids the entire time you're out. But once you start doing it and you make it a routine, like make a weekly date night and have, a special person or a friend watch your kids. If once you make that a routine, you start getting used to it, and then you can start doing bigger trips as your kids get a little bit older. I know when they're babies, like we never really left our kids when they were babies, but after they were like 2, we started leaving them. We took John with us for some trips, and then after that, when they got older,
yeah,
we would leave him. So when they're younger, yeah, you might have to take your babies along with you, but just remembering as a mom, I guess, don't lose yourself just because you had kids, and don't lose your relationship just because you had kids, because you were a couple before you had kids, right?
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So
yeah. Arkansas's got some cool places like that. There. There's another thing like super close to us, super cheap. We've talked about even going to this hot springs, which I didn't like. Before we moved here, I didn't put the two and two together. Hot Springs was an actually the town is called Hot Springs, but it's an actual hot springs town. It's mostly commercialized now, but that's a really big tourist destination actually. Um,
and they have a
again,
lot of
I haven't been there
rentals
either.
there that have the rooms have their own private like jacuzzis or hot tubs, so that you could just spend a romantic like couple days together. Like that's a good way to kind of like, one of our favorite trips was when we went to the Moose Jaw Spa, and that was like a hot spring, and it was the same thing, and we made sure
Yeah,
it had a jacuzzi in our bedroom, and we literally only left the room to eat, and other than that we stayed in the room the entire time, and it was one of the best trips we ever had. Like
yeah. It's a spring water to the rooms, and some of the hotels in Hot Springs do that. Some don't, so you have to kind of look into that. But the Temple Gardens Mineral Spa in Moose Jaw there, it's Saskatchewan. Yeah, they have the mineral water to all the rooms, and it's really clean, and it's not that weird like kind of sticky like you get in some of these other places. But it's they have a pool there. Like if you want to go to the main pool, you can swim outside in the wintertime. So there's like a little kind of a curtain, I guess, you swim through, and then the outside part is like you'll go outside and your hair's wet and you freeze or whatever, but it still is like so warm. They actually have to cool the water there to be able to get it down to a temperature where they have it to actually be used. So super nice place, and it's very affordable. I mean, somebody who lives in Saskatchewan would be surprised if you hadn't been there already. Um, yeah, and then we were just talking about other things like how we keep things fresh and things like that, and it's kind of what you were talking about, right? Just taking time for each other and making sure you spend time with each other, and like I said, going out for regular dates, and not always having your kids with you, making sure maybe you do take a week or something once a year or whatever it is, or whatever you can kind of afford, and get actually away from your kids. It's like you can't always be around your kids. It's like it's not healthy to be with your kids 24/7. You guys have to have a break and get away from them and spend time with the person that you met before you had your kids, right?
yeah.
So um, we got along perfect. We don't have any problems, and it's because we spend a lot of time together. We know what each other is thinking all the time. We always try to make sure that we both take care of each other and we're both happy, and yeah.
And I find that like if we ever do have times where we start getting annoyed with each other, it's because we're not spending enough time together. Like it's because we've let life consume us,
Yes.
and we have to put a pause on it and take time for each other. And if that ever happens, we make sure that we're like, hey, what's going on? Like, why am I getting annoyed at you for no reason? Because we're not like that. We get
Yeah.
along super well. So if we're getting annoyed at each other for no reason, it's normally because we just aren't spending enough time together. And that's the one thing that we put a focus on, is put a focus on, maybe you can't get out of your house. Well, go in your bedroom, have your kids watch a TV show and go in your bedroom and shut the door for 20 minutes. I'm sure you'll be a lot happier. It's true though. I mean, you just
Yeah,
like
that's right.
sometimes you just have to like sometimes it's not possible to get out of the house. Like
It's got to
it's
be
just
like
not.
Austin Powers,
You just
shag now or shag later,
or both.
or both.
But I mean, that's part of a healthy relationship, though, is making sure that you spend that quality time with each other, whatever that
Yeah,
quality time is. And like, even like for us, sometimes we might not have time to go out for dinner because, we have older kids now that are working, but we might have time in the morning to run to get coffee for 20 minutes. And sometimes we'll do that. We'll just drive down to the coffee shop together and have a coffee. Like, it doesn't have to
that's right.
be a whole ordeal. Like, just take a little bit of time. Like,
Yeah, we go for lunch lots of times. Like they have lunch festival. I googled one day like cheap lunch specials in town or whatever, and so we started going to this Mexican place because it's like really good price lunch specials, and it's just something so we can go talk, have an hour together, and just kind of talk a little bit. And I mean, most of the time when your kids are getting a little bit older, we don't leave our kids alone yet because they're still a little bit younger. But most of the time, once you start to know some people, you can either get somebody to watch them or you got older kids that can watch them or whatever. But you know, you can always get away for an hour or something like
yeah.
that. Is what we're saying, right? So we talked about when we went to Nashville there, that so our anniversary is close to Valentine's, and I think that's kind
So,
of part of the course for a lot
yeah.
of people. A lot of people get married around them because it's Valentine's Day, right? So, yeah, so we've gone to Nashville for that. That was a lot of fun.
And we did they had a river boat tour. We did that one night. They had a special Valentine's
Yeah,
dinner and we did that river
forgot
boat
about that.
tour, and we did the Grand Old Opry that time,
Yeah,
and that was super fun. We did the whole thing. We got the whole package. We got the whole VIP
yeah,
package. We were able to do like the backstage everything. There was so much to do though in Nashville that we've already been back I think twice since then, and we've barely tapped the surface. The last time we went, we actually went to the Nashville museum there, and it was almost overwhelming. It was so big and there was so much information. So if you like that kind of stuff, that's pretty cool too.
I actually feel like Nashville's very affordable. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things you can do. We went with some friends there. We just rented bikes for the day, and I think it was like something like $7 or
Yeah, it
something a
was
day.
cheap.
I think it was whatever. It was super cheap, anyways. And you can bike around all day. You got to take these bikes back every couple hours and exchange them, so the batteries always get charged. But other than that, super affordable. It was like really neat way to see the city. A bunch of different sites there for free again, and
Yeah.
we found things by accident and sort of we didn't even know existed there. So it's definitely
Yeah, we
definitely
got
worth
to
it that way.
sit in on Congress when they were passing bills and things like
Yeah.
that. I mean, there was just random things that you can do. Like, I'm honestly, there's so many things you can do that don't cost money just by kind of exploring towns, not just Nashville, but any town really. There's so many things that you
Yeah.
can do. Like, there's things you can pay to do too, but I mean, there's so many things that we've learned and seen along the way that don't cost us anything either.
Yeah, most people have things close to their hometown. I mean, I would be very surprised if anybody can't tell me within an hour of their place that they can't find something either free or very cheap to do just as a little getaway, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we used to, even in Saskatchewan, we lived in the middle of nowhere and we'd explore around. And sometimes we just back road cruise and go see like old sites, like old vehicles, or
We
take
did a
pictures of
cemetery
like,
cruise. We drove around
yeah,
and found a bunch of old cemeteries. Like, I don't know, we find fun in everything, and I think that's the main thing, is remembering that your spouse is your best friend. That's why you marry them, because they're your best friend. Like, your mate is your best friend, right? And we have to remember to keep reminding ourselves that that's why we love doing things together. Because I mean, he's my best friend, and that's who I want to do these things with. And the more you do together, the more you enjoy being together, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right. Well, I think that's kind of going to be it for today. So, do you know why you don't fall in love with a pastry chef? He will desert you.
ah.
All right.
Okay. All right. So
Oklahoma facts.
my Oklahoma fact is a Valentine's fact. Oklahoma celebrates February 14th as Statehood Day because it is the day in 1907 when Oklahoma officially became the 46th state of the United States.
1907, eh?
Yep, 1907.
Interesting.
Happy Valentine's Day from Oklahoma.
Yeah, make sure you guys follow, like, subscribe, share it around with your family and friends, and help us grow the channel there. Check out my YouTube channel, TK's Garage 405. I do a bunch of automotive stuff there, and check out our Instagram as well, TK's Garage 405.
And free and on the road.
Thanks, guys. Catch you guys in the next one.
Have a great day.